Good morning from the World Meeting of Families. Now we're now in our third day of the Congress for this year, and as you can see, it's another beautiful hot sunny day in Rome. So we gather this morning, first of all, as was yesterday, for Holy Mass inside St. Peter's Basilica. Today it was celebrated by Cardinal De Donatis, who is the Vicar General for the Diocese of Rome. And he is, in many respects, the host of this celebration. So he celebrated the Mass this morning in St. Peter's Basilica with the other cardinals and bishops and priests present and all those attending the Congress, once again at the papal altar. Today, of course, it's also the beautiful solemnity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which meant this is what, of course, the Cardinal was preaching about. And in his homily, he spoke about how in that parable of the Good Shepherd that's proclaimed today, when the lost sheep returns, there's a celebration at home, a celebration within the family, and that's what he concentrated on, giving us that new way of looking at this traditional and well-known parable that we consider on this traditional feast day. After that, of course, we adjourned once again into the Paul VI Audience Hall to listen to this morning's contributions and speakers. And they included, as usual, people from all over the world. The first of those speakers was giving a talk about using digital means of communication, online means, and the family. And he made a very interesting point, a point that's also obvious that we don't think about it, that we should be the same person online as we are offline. And when we send messages, we have to remember that as well. And there were several contributions about different initiatives taking place using the internet. After that, an Italian family was introduced to us of 12 children. And they have all moved to the Netherlands, where they've set themselves up to be engaged in evangelization in that country. And in so doing, they said they've based everything on the Word of God, and that's given their fresh inspiration to carry this out. They've said that they've taken to heart the words of the Lord to help them in that way. First, the Italian family who have moved to the Netherlands spoke about how they've drawn the inspiration from the Word of God, guided by the words, "The Lord your God is the one Lord, and you must serve him with all your heart and with all your soul." And so they've taken that as their inspiration and got fully involved in the parish life there, going to all the major feasts and incorporating them into their own celebration of family life as well. They pointed out how it's a difficult time for the family, how the devil wants to destroy the family, and they must protect the family. Of course, the family being a gift of God, and the devil uses not arms but ideas. Something that Pope Francis himself was saying, and he will destroy the family with drugs or misuse of the internet, abortion, euthanasia. It's a concern. And so he was asking us to think about as well how we pass the faith on to younger generations, particularly how faith impacts them in their adolescent years. One of the areas that he touched upon was the post-confirmation journey of their children and how they've concentrated on that. So I suppose it's not just to be seen that confirmation is a one-off after the celebration. No, they try and gather the young people together again, and it's been very effective, encouraging them to go on and to read the Bible together, to receive the sacrament of reconciliation, and to see their confirmation as a real blessing from the Lord. And this in turn has attracted other young people to be with them, even in their 20s, to return to the church. And so they're doing a great apostolate there as well, as all that, giving that great witness themselves with such a large family. And they view the gift of their children as a real concrete sign of the blessing of God in their lives. The morning sessions drew to a close, and they provided a packed lunch for everybody, quite an undertaking for 3,000 delegates, but we got our packed lunches and headed out into St. Peter's Square, where we all sat down beneath the colonnade because it was far too hot to go out into the open sun into St. Peter's Square to eat our lunch. So we all went out under the colonnade and ate our packed lunch together. which was a good thing to do and kept the atmosphere going. And we got a little break after that before returning back into the hall for the afternoon session, and what was I think quite a highly anticipated session to be given by Gabriella Gambino, and it was to do with marriage as a catechumenate, which is, I think, a new concept in many places. And it was to accompany a new document which is being issued by the Dicastery for Laity, Family and Life. This document was being presented to us, and the initiatives that came from it, helping us to better structure and to plan our preparation for marriage for our engaged couples. Gabriella Gambino is also the Under-Secretary of the Dicastery of Laity and Family Life, and presented this session with her husband Giovanni Nuzzi. And then they asked the question, will our children have the courage to marry? Because we know that this culture we have just now, especially in the West, doesn't support the call, the vocation to marriage. There's a fear of being unworthy before the commitment to marry, the fear of becoming fathers and mothers. How do we overcome fear? We need trust, and to be convinced that God has a plan for me in the call to marriage. Pope Francis opens a new way to that in this document, and he wants to place the entire church at the service of preparing couples for getting married. Everyone's going to be involved in marriage preparation, helping couples to discern the call to marriage, and so that the celebration of a wedding itself does not become the end point of preparation. Really, it's just the beginning, and beyond that the church ought to accompany them, because after all, the point was made that we spend years and years preparing candidates for the priesthood and religious life, and yet maybe at best we have a few meetings on a pre-marriage preparation course, and it's not enough. We know that married couples make up the great majority of the church's faithful, and we need to do more to prepare them for life as spouses, to hear the call to marriage and to support them in that way. And so in that preparation period, it's desirable then that the couple get to mature and listen and pray, and are supported by the entire parish, the entire church community in that regard. This means helping the young grow towards desiring marriage as well, and Gabriella made the point in her life. She would see pictures of her parents' wedding around the house, and in some way that helped to plant the seed that one day she wanted to marry herself. She saw it as a vocation to grow towards, and so it's so important then for us to foster this culture towards favouring marriage. And indeed, this couple making the presentation made the point that even though they've been married for 25 years, they've never really understood the meaning of the grace that they received on the wedding day. And they made the point that most couples do not. And that's a great challenge for us as pastors and the whole church indeed, to help couples to discover the grace and mission and status they have received. And in so doing, we prepare couples by saying we're not just preparing you for marriage, it's going to be a care for your marriage bond itself, ongoing in the life of spouses together. And that and much more is contained in the document that's being produced by that dicastery, which will be very interesting for us as we go forward in preparing couples for marriage. After the talk on marriage catechumenate ended, there was a break for some refreshments, and then the entire Congress was split up into coach parties, 25 coach parties, for a visit to the parishes of Rome. So each coach would contain people from different countries, bishops' conferences, lay movements, and they were distributed amongst 25 different parishes within the Diocese of Rome. We were taken to one not too far away, and that parish made us very welcome, and took us into the church, and there was the music group there, prepared some music for us to hear, some hymns, and then we had some time for the couples who were with us to give their own personal marriage testimonies. There were couples from Albania, from Malta, from Italy, Malawi, all very interesting to hear and quite moving in parts as well. And after that, they give us some refreshments under the evening sun in Rome. Still very hot here before we travel back to the conference venue. It's been another long day, but a worthwhile day, and a day we've taken in so much on day 3.